Good afternoon and welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Danielle Ackle and I'm going to be your instructor today. If you can hear me, can you go ahead and raise your hand? You do that by clicking on the little character up at the top. It's a little, there we go. Okay, so it looks like that's working. Excellent, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and get started then. Our topic today is using categories in Outlook. So I'm going to share my screen. Make sure this is going to work here. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see my Outlook. And there we go. So now you should be seeing my Outlook email. So what we're talking about today is using categories. And if you've ever used categories, you can see that usually they're pretty easy, very straightforward, but you may not know all the ways that you can use them. So if we go up here to the top, you'll see there's a categories button, and that's a little shortcut we can use. Typically what we do when we're wanting to assign something to a category is highlight the email or the calendar event or even the person that you want to put into a category, and you're going to use your mouse and right click on it, and that's going to pull up this little box, and then we're going to go to categories. Under categories, you're going to have something a little bit different than what mine looks like because I've been using mine. Yours are probably just going to have like green category, yellow category, blue category, but we can change those. So let's change those first. If you highlight all categories, you're going to come up to this dialog box. Now again, mine's going to look a little different. You can modify these, delete them, and even add new ones. Very quickly done. All you have to do is hit the new button, and we can add a category, select a color if we so choose. If I want to rename one, I just highlight it and click on rename, and then it just lets me free edit inside that. Or if I want to delete one because I don't want to use it anymore, again, highlight and delete. I can also change the color. So if I don't like that color, I can pick from several different colors. So I'm going to pick one. Actually, I'm going to stick right with that because I'm going to show you some other things that we can do with it. So now, what do we care about categories? Categories is similar to putting something inside a filing cabinet. You might use color coding, you might use titles, but it's a way to help us organize our files, whether they be emails, calendar events, or even people. So I'm showing you where to edit these categories, but let's go see what we can do with them. I'm going to cancel out of this. Now, one of the things that I often do is I'm going through email. Sometimes my email box gets really big and it's hard to find things that I need. Or there's an email that I continually reference and I don't like using the flag, so I want to put it in a special category. This one, for instance, from Julie is about my class. So if I right click and put it into the category, I have a category set up for that particular class. So I would click on it and you're going to see over there by the date on this email that a little green icon comes up showing that it's in a category. So what difference does it make? Well, as I'm scrolling through email, it's real easy to find it now because of that green icon. Likewise, I can give it more than one category. So if Julie's asking me for a meeting for this particular class, I can also put it in the category meeting. And now it's in two categories. I can also search by categories. So if I put in that keyword, it's going to come in and my category is going to be there because that is actually the category it's in. So very quick that I can do that. I find it most helpful to use categories in the calendar function. So if I look at a calendar, maybe not this week, let's go back to April. If I look at April, you'll see that my calendar has lots of different colors. So this particular one in green, that's that class. And when I assign it a category, it's a recurring event. So all of them are going to turn green. Likewise, this meeting up here in orange, it was a meeting, so I put it in the category meeting. And there you go, it pops up orange. This can be extremely helpful when you need to put things into some type of organization setting, such as I always have to know how many training events that I either instruct or attend when I go to do my annual review. So by putting colors into my calendar, I can quickly flip through the year to see anytime I went to training or led training just by giving it a different color. Likewise, if I have something that's unusual, meetings that I have to attend, those pop up in orange and get my attention. Or how about if you're a support person for an executive executive, a director, or someone else, you don't necessarily have to attend those meetings, but you sure need to know that you'll have to prepare for them. Maybe you put those on your calendar and you put them in a specific color. Or maybe if someone's traveling, you put that in a specific color. It's really an easy way to, at a glance, see what's on your calendar because it's all color coded. So it's not all the same. Otherwise, things tend to get lost. So using that in the calendar function is the exact same thing. You just right click and hit the category. Now you'll see those are the same categories we saw earlier. When you set your categories in Microsoft Outlook, then they will stay with you. So whether you're in Mail, Calendar, or People, all of those categories are going to come with you. So let's take a look now at People. So if I go into People and I have, let's say, this gentleman with Cengage, he is going to be my representative for Cengage, and that is the course, that is the textbook that I'm using for my business class. So I could put him in that category with that class. And you'll see his, there it goes, it changes his address so that now his category says BUSI, and that's the category I have assigned to him. Again, I can search for that. So if I come up here and do a search and hit enter, whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Let's see here. If I hit search, oh, that's searching by name. Sorry. Let's come down here. In contacts, I'm searching my contacts, not the address book for TCU. When I go to search for that now, you'll see that he pulled up as well as the updates that I get from that textbook as well was already in that category. So it's a quick, easy way to search. It's a quick, easy way to organize. And because it goes through each of these functions, it's very universal. So you can search by categories, you can color code, and if you decide you want to change them up, you can always right click, hit category, and clear all categories. So that just deleted all of those. I really, really like it, simply because it can be very bright, it can be eye-catching, it can highlight things. When I look at my calendar, I see lots of different colors, which makes it really easy to find what I'm looking for. If I'm looking for a particular meeting, or if I have a recurring event, maybe you want to color code things. If you're responsible for ordering lunch for a particular meeting, it becomes a different category. So you know, just glancing at the week in review, you can tell, oh, it's in red, I need to do something for that. So it becomes very easy for you to be able to organize your stylings. So I'm going to flip right back over here to our meeting and see if anyone has any questions about using categories in Microsoft Outlook. If you have a category or you have a question about using categories, if you'll use the chat function, it is designed so that if you type in something there, that everyone will be able to see your question and then I can answer it for you. See, we have someone typing. We might have a question coming their way. Do you ever use the flag function? So the flag function is a little bit different. I'm going to go back over to Outlook and show you the difference between the flags and the categories. So if we are using flags, if I'm in the mail, and there's, you see, as I hover over that, that little icon pops up to flag it. When I flag it, it actually pops up in my reminder function. So if you've ever used reminders, it's going to pull up in there. So if I go and I apologize, I took my reminders off. Isn't that awful? And now I can't show you. There's task. Here we go, task. You see that email that I flagged about my TCU parking permit? I've got to go pick it up. And when I flagged it in email, it comes over to my task list. So that you can, of course, it's portable on your phone, your smart device, so it'll pop up in your reminders list on your phone, but it's here. So now that if it has a category, it will also show up here, but giving something a category doesn't mean it pulls into your task. So categories are not going to give you reminders, unlike if you look at the flag function, So if I come up here and flag it, and I tell it I've got to do this tomorrow or this week, next week, it will actually give a reminder, and so it pops up the window showing me that I've got to go take care of it, because when I flag it, it becomes a task. So categories are going to be very different from that. That's just your way to help you organize versus giving you reminders. So you can use them together. So I can certainly give it a category and put that flag on there for a reminder, but they're mutually exclusive from one another. So I hope that answered your question. If not, I'm happy to entertain another question or a follow-up question. Okay, you are welcome, June. I'm glad that answered your question about flags and categories. Looks like we have another question coming in. Is there a way that when you categorize an email, it will pop into a particular folder in your inbox? Actually, that's not going to be a function of categories, but you can do that. It's just not through categories. So I'm going to flip back over to my email. What you're asking about is actually creating a rule. And so for something like, let's say Wellness Gold, I get lots of Wellness Gold emails, we'll pretend, and what I would like to do is put it over into a particular folder. So what I would do is highlight the email in question, and I would come up here to rules, and I can create a rule. Now this gives me some generics or what it thinks I'm trying to do, but I'm going to create a rule. And so any from this person or this address, and what do I want to do with it, and I can move it into a folder, and that's how you would do that. So once your email is open, it would run these rules, and anytime an email from Wellness Gold came to me, it would automatically move it into a folder. I actually have several of these set up, especially the university absence list that comes out once a week. I've got it programmed so that there's a rule in here. So anytime it hits my inbox, it will automatically go to my folder off to the side called absences. So because it's an unread email, it's going to turn bold and have my number beside it, how many unread emails I have in there, but that way it doesn't clutter up my inbox. So that's how you do that. You do create a rule. So you can say who it's from, or if a subject contains a certain word or phrase, or if it's sent to maybe a distribution list, and you have to put the distribution list in there, and then you can tell what to do with it. You could have, say it's an important email from someone that you always want to make sure you catch, that you could have it play a different sound. So there are those options when you create those rules. I hope that answered your question. Moving things into a certain folder are not going to be categories, but you can do that under rules. And you are very welcome. If there are no other questions, that's going to be it for our training today, but I hope that you learned something about how to use categories in Outlook. We're going to do another training in a week from today, and it's going to be using basic statistics in Excel. I use them so much. When I have a list of numbers, that I can highlight it and tell Excel to calculate things like the mean, the median, the mode, the range. And it's so very handy. It's not even a formula. So we're going to go over how to use that. Even if you don't use Excel very often, it's always good to log into these quick sessions, because you're going to pick up something that you find useful. After next week, we're actually going to take a break until school starts, and we'll be back in September. So be sure to check your email, not only from HR reminding you about their trainings in Tech Tuesday, but once you've signed up for one of these, we put you on a distribution list and remind you the day of the training, just in case you forget. So I hope you enjoyed today's training. Be sure to check out the IT website. They do have an archive of some of our older sessions, because we record these each time. So if you missed a topic that you want to go catch, you can go out there and look for it. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for joining us today for Tech Tuesday.